Good evening, guys, and welcome to another show of Let's Talk About Ice from Gold Coast, Queensland on the Red Couch. We have a special guest that I'll introduce in a moment, but I just wanted to talk about health and recovery for a moment. And I was given this amazing flower today by one of the girls in the office, Vanessa, one of the girls, and I just kept looking at it and just looking how beautiful and vibrant it is. And you know, if we don't look after like a flower in a pot, all the petals start to fall off and it starts to, you know, become droopy and it dies. And it just reminded me about the amazing beauty of recovery, and how, you know, if you keep your flower in water and you look after it and you play opera music to it and you put vitamins in the soil, and you know, it just grows to such a beautiful flower like this, you know, with all the perfect petals and the circles in between. And you know, when you don't look after your body and your health, you know, you start to fall apart and the petals fall off and you start to, you know, to wither, I think that's the word that I'm looking for, until it dies. And it just reminded me of recovery and how things are now, for personally myself and most people that have you know, broken through the barrier of addiction and come out in recovery. You know, you can restore the beauty in your life, and you can, you know, input the right things, the water, the vitamins, the sleep, and you know, create new neurological pathways in your brain, and to help restore some of the damage that's been done by this dreadful drug, ice. And I say dreadful because, you know, you grow to really hate it when you've encountered it. So I just wanted to bring this on tonight and just, you know, remind you that you know, your health is important just as much as, you know, our beautiful flowers out there like this one. You need to nurture it, you need to look after it, and to, you know, put the right things. If you're in recovery, and I'm speaking to you, you might be in early stages of recovery, you know, vital greens, double strength krill oil, lots of sleep, structure, exercise is really, really important for especially the first 12 months to 24 months, to replenish all the things. I'm still going to naturopath and putting in vitamins and things. My zinc was higher, my magnesium was, you know, gone, and that's like 7 years down the track. So, but it is possible, and you can recover and you can restore. But if you actually don't need to go down to that, down the place of ice world, as we call it, and destroy your beautiful body. You know, when we're gifted such an amazing gift like this flower, it's naturally beautiful coming out of the ground, and we can destroy it. So I just wanted to bring that on tonight, because every time I looked at the flower, I just kept thinking about, you know, how precious life is, and our recovery is as well. So before I introduce our amazing guests on the show tonight, I just wanted to do a big shout out to Mercer and Cooper Property Group, and I know you've got Cooper and Mercer, but it's Mercer and Cooper Property Group. They've just come on board, guys, and we're really, really excited because they specialise in property, and the right property, and they have a whole plan on how to help you, and they have joined AAIC in the fight against ice. And we will be doing a few shout outs. But if you're looking for a property to purchase and you're after somebody that's honest and they know how to link the right property for the right to the right person, you need to speak to these guys. That's Mercer and Cooper Property Group, and every property that they sell over the next 12 months, they're going to donate an amount back to AAIC. I think it's $500 per property. So if you are that person, you're looking for a property, go and visit them. They're beautiful people. I had a coffee with them, and they will look after you. Okay, so and you're helping a good cause in return as well. So you're helping us put the freeze on ice in our nation and in our community. So thank you to Bernice and Matt and the team down at Mercer and Cooper for joining us. We really love you guys, and we appreciate what you're doing for your community. So big shout out to them. Big shout out to Gardner Car Cars in Burleigh, who also have a end of financial year sale, and they have 3 charities on board that they've picked. AARC are one of them. And in the month of June, if you are looking to buy a car, head down there, because every car that they sell, they're also going to put $100 into Australian Anti-Ice campaign to help us continue doing the great work that we do. Guys, you know, the family support, the buddy support, you know, all of the work that we do, you know, we've got to pay rent, we've got to keep overheads running, and we can't do it without you, because we are not funded by the government, and we are, you know, going into communities and every day and helping people out of addiction into recovery, and warning our kids about the dangers of ice from lived experience, trained lived experience people. So thank you to Gardner Cars for coming on board. I'm going to pop down there within the next couple of weeks and check out our jar and see how many tokens or how many $100 bills we have in there. So I will pop down with a video camera and come and say hi very soon. Just wanted to remind you about the grilled Benoa Gardens. So if you're hungry and you need a burger, and you know you're around Benoa Gardens, that's on the Gold Coast, pop down to Grilled. They have amazing burgers, and put your cap into the Australian Anti-Ice campaign jar, and they also help Australian Anti-Ice campaign do what we do. So go down to Benoa Gardens on the Gold Coast and pick up your burger. And don't forget, guys, our online shop where you can purchase your Neo t-shirt and your Neo cap. You can't purchase them, you have to earn those, so they're only for our staff, but they can purchase these. So, and that's the front, and guys, this is the back. And you can also get your cap, your caps to keep your head warm, and your they're not caps, they're beanies to keep your head warm through winter, or your caps, your Neo caps, with the Not Even ones, same emblem on your cap. Oh, they're gonna throw stuff at me again. So that's your footy. The other one, can I have the other one? That one, yeah. We wore them we went down to the Cooley Rocks over the weekend. We spoke to families and we spoke to people out there. We handed out resources about the dangers of ice, and it's amazing how many people don't know what ice looks like. They don't know how it's taken. They don't understand the other names that ice has and what it does, most importantly. They know it's bad. They know there's an epidemic, they know there's a problem out there, but they don't really understand what ice is, and we were able to shed light on that and offer support for people, families going through having a loved one in addiction. It's quite very difficult times and trying, and we can support them through that. So here's our cap, pretty cool. We wore them down at Cooley Rocks. Oh, look at that. He's in the hood. He's in the house, yo. Guys, head down to our shop at www.australianantiicecampaign.org.au, and all proceeds from everything in our shop, 100% go back to help us educate kids on the dangers of this drug ice, help us create pathways for people that are in addiction and get them into recovery. So you can help and purchase something. End of year sales, you got to spend some money, buy some caps for your team at your office, or some t-shirts, and I'm sure they're going to love you for it. And thank you to the Gold Coast Rotary, who continue supporting us all up through Cairns. The Gold Coast Rotary are planning a walk against ice, which we will be promoting and giving out some information. It looks like we may be doing that here on the Gold Coast as well, also in Sydney and Melbourne and WA. So that's coming up in September, but we're really close to launching that. But the Rotaries have done an amazing job coming on board with Australian Anti-Ice campaign for the walk against ice. And everybody will have an opportunity to join and make a stand against this drug, and we're going to be walking against it and protesting, and saying we don't want this in our town, we don't want this in our community, and we need to educate our kids from real lived experience. So thank you to the Gold Coast Rotary for all your help, and the Rotaries up in Cairns, guys. So you're doing an amazing job planning this. We will have information in our events page. Now, without further ado, I'd like you to welcome tonight on the show a really amazing guy who I've really fondly taken to heart because I just love everything about him. And he's agreed to come on the show tonight and share some of his journey with you. Guys, we do this in hope that you can understand a little bit better about the journey on ice. We do this in hope that kids that may be watching, youth that may be watching, that you understand what you will embark on if you make the choices to say yes to ice. There's only 3 end results on a journey addicted to ice, and you're going to end up either in mental health hospital, in prison, or dead. That's the end point. That's where you're going. That's where you're aiming through ice addiction. And we just encourage, our message is not even once. You don't need to touch it. How much poison is okay? We don't believe in harm minimisation. It's not even once. You don't want to go there. It's hell. So welcome Cody on the show, guys.
There you go.
Thank you for being on the show, Cody. Thank you so much for agreeing to share. It's not an easy thing to do, to have to, to dig inside and remember some of that journey. And so I'm really grateful because I know, your story is very close to your heart. And when you've shared with me, it's made me quite emotional. I guess I don't know a lot about your background, and I thought maybe we could start there. And you're a very polite, generous, kind young man, and I just couldn't picture you and Ice World mixing because I know Ice World gets pretty horrific. But yeah. I kind of want to go back to, if you want to paint a bit of a picture for us about how did you grow up? Do you have brothers and sisters? Were you a troubled child? Or?
Yeah, I guess growing up, I guess there was a bit of a dysfunctional family unit. My parents split up quite young. My father was an alcoholic, quite abusive. So the family situation was always, and we moved around a lot as well. So I think that was a big part of it. And I was definitely had some behavioural issues growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't like authority. I didn't like people telling me what to do.
Yep.
I was quite, in that perspective, I just thought I was doing my own thing.
So what was like your behavioural issues you're talking about? Like, were you, did you kind of start taking off when you were young from home, or did you?
Behavioural issues, I guess. It's hard to explain. All sorts of things, especially at school. I really struggled at school. Socially, I struggled, and the only thing I ever wanted to do was play sports.
Uh-huh.
That was my outlet.
Yeah.
I didn't want to sit in the classroom. I didn't want to. All I wanted to do was sports, whether it was baseball, rugby league, rugby union, cricket. Anything. It was just, that's where my happiness was playing sports. And
was that because you found it easier to communicate with your peers at the in a team environment, or
I think so.
As opposed to maybe if they got to know what was going on inside you, on a more personal level, that there was a fear that that you'd not be seen as being coping for a guy,
I'm not sure. I think just because I love sports so much, and I was quite good at any sort of sports I played, so when I struggled socially at school to make friends, I found friends playing sports.
Awesome.
And that's where it was my outlet.
Yep. So you fit in somewhere.
I felt like I fitted in, and and whatever sport I mean, I could have issues with people at school, and then we would end up playing football or something together, and next thing they were friends with me.
Yeah, yeah.
Or they wanted to, it change. I guess that's where I had so much passion for sports, and why it was my comfort zone. So
what happened? You got heavily involved in the sport field, and one would think, right, because I know a lot of parents out there go, oh no, my kid would never do drugs, or especially ice. They're so sporty and they're so dedicated to fitness, and we're hearing here right now that you were dedicated to sport and fitness, and you still went down that path.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of painting this picture, guys, because ice does not discriminate. Yeah, it can happen to anybody, any age. Don't think that your child is immune to it. They're going to get offered it. They're going to get offered it not once, not twice, various times throughout their growing up high school years. Even in primary school, I'm hearing nowadays, have you protected your child against the dangers of ice? You know, showing them what's on TV is just not enough. You need to go deeper. You need to tell them the other names for ice. You need to show them how it's used. You need to show them what happens, long-term effects, what psychosis actually is and means. It's really important that they understand the dangers of embarking on this track. So you were playing all the sport,
Mm-hmm.
and then what happened?
I can remember a day, I was about 12 years old, and a mate said to me, your dad smokes marijuana. And I thought, what do you mean? And next thing, at 12, we discovered, we went into my dad's room and I found a lot of marijuana. From there, I found out I could sell it at school.
Yep.
So at 12 years old, I started not knowing the value of it. I just would take it and I'd go and sell it at school and buy clothes and stuff like that. And that's where it sort of started. I then moved to Queensland with Mum, and her partner, who was another drunk, very abusive alcoholic, also smoked marijuana.
Yep.
So I did the same. I was 13 and I would just take his marijuana and I'd go and sell it at school, and I made money that way. So that's where I guess my drug use started. It then started, I was selling drugs before I started smoking drugs.
Well, so you were selling it yet not using it.
Yep.
That's amazing. Wow. And were you inquisitive to what am I selling and what's it do?
I was very inquisitive, especially at that age, 12, 13. But at the time, I had a mates that weren't into it, so I was still at this stage, still so dedicated to sports.
Yep.
And I didn't want to smoke it, but I knew I could make money off it. It was strange. And then I think I was about 13 and 14 when I finally started smoking marijuana, and then from there it went into other drugs, speed, and that was the first time I come across ice, was when I was 14. It was the first time I smoked it. I still remember that night. We sat in a room, we smoked a lot of marijuana, and we smoked this ice, and we didn't know what it was. We were just like, well, what's this?
Hold on. How did you at 14 get your hands on ice? I mean, marijuana was everywhere, and it's always been everywhere, but I'm presuming this is quite a few years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is 20 years ago now.
Right, so how did you get your hands on ice at 14?
It was through a friend that had met a guy from Brisbane, and he brought some up. I believe it was a point or something.
Yeah.
At that stage, and he was the one that first give us some ice.
So he gave it to you for free?
I think we paid $50 or something. I can't exactly remember how much we
and
paid
between
for
you
it.
guys, you would have put the money together and
Yeah.
And did you have any idea of what it actually was and what it was about to do to you?
All we worked out was it was speed times 10.
Okay.
That's what it was like, because we were using speed at that stage too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Katie, what happened after that? So you were, you just started dabbling in marijuana. And guys, long-term use of marijuana can cause schizophrenia, okay? It does affect your brain function, it slows you down. But, you went from using a bit of marijuana and then you just started this ice thing, and what happened?
From there, I went into using ecstasy. I used ecstasy for many years. Alcohol was a big part through my teens as well. Ice, I didn't see ice again for quite a number of years.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't around, and we didn't sort of go looking for it at that stage. The next time I come across it was we done a job in Western Australia, and had started hearing about the ice epidemic. I was around 24 at this stage, and when I went over there, it was mind blowing.
Mm.
It was everywhere.
Mm.
Everyone was using it. It blew me away.
Yeah.
I used it again. That time I actually injected it. That was the first time I injected it.
So between 14 and 24, you polyused. Guys, we call that polyusing when you're using all different substances. Cody, what were you thinking at the time? You know, I want to know what was going on for you in here, because, you know, I want people to understand what somebody that's polyusing or that's using drugs, I want them to get a better insight knowledge, you know, in here.
I think I was just always caught up in groups where it was almost the norm, you know. Everyone, it was just something you'd done on the weekend. You just got completely written off for a couple of days, then you'd go back to work and you'd hang out for a couple of days, you'd dry out, and then Thursday I'd go, and next thing you're on a bender again.
But you would have, at school, you would have had like drug education.
There was
drugs, like.
There was, yeah, there definitely was. But again, like I said, when I was at school, I was barely at school.
Yeah.
Unless it was a sports class.
Yep.
I didn't want to attend it. I wasn't listening.
And I'm sure your parents and people around you, like your conscience would have said, you know, I shouldn't really do drugs or, you know, do this kind of stuff, but you did it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of were you like trying to defy the rules, or were you just trying to fit in?
I'd say it's more probably trying to fit in
than
anything, especially now that I look back on it. Would definitely be more of me just trying to fit into a group. Like I said, I had a lot of social issues growing up with friends, like trying to make friends and stuff like that. So I guess when it comes to drugs and there's drugs around, you know, you want to be part of this circle here, have some of this or take some of that. And so I guess it was, a lot of the time was just to try and to fit in.
Yeah.
And be, you know, with the cool kids and, you know, be part of the cool crew.
Yeah. And I hear that a lot. You know, a lot of, you know, I wanted him to love me. I wanted to be part of, you know, I wasn't going to sit out and say no. Like, you know, you hear this all the time, and until the group understand what's about to happen, if they could just see what's coming up ahead and the train wreck that's coming, and that you can't take back. Yeah, some of the things you can't replace, you can't fix anymore. You wouldn't do it, you know, and so we give the kids that insight in the schools. We give them that information. We don't hide anything. It's an open workshop conversation, and we're going to, you know, answer their questions that they wouldn't ask their parents or their teachers, but they're prepared to ask somebody who they know has been through it, yeah, and get the real answers. So that's the kind of conversation that we have. So you then met Ice again at 24, and how did that go on from there?
Again, for some reason it didn't appeal to me at that stage. I don't know why. The buzz, again, I can't explain why it didn't appeal to me at that stage. I was also watching other guys that I worked with. There was three guys that I worked with in WA, and they come from Queensland with me, and within 3 months, because they were heavy speed users before we went to WA, once we got to WA, they become heavy ice users, and all three of them ended up in rehab within a couple of months.
Wow.
It destroyed them like that.
Yeah.
I guess maybe that might have been a bit of why I sort of stayed away a bit from it at that stage. But yeah, I can't explain why I stayed away for a bit more. And it wasn't again until I was 27, around 27, and again I was still in Perth, and my next door neighbour smoked ice, and he offered me some one day, and that was the start of it. That was the start. And I started having relationship problems with my girlfriend at the time. I would find myself with other people that I was working with on Friday afternoons. I'd be telling my girlfriend, "Oh yeah, I'm coming home," and I'd go over to their house and smoke ice, and then head home. And she would know straight away when we'd been smoking, and it would just cause massive arguments and fights. And, so that's where ice really kicked off for me. We broke up. This is around 2013, and at that stage I was working out in the mines, and I was doing 4 on, 4 off, 4 on, 1 off. Sorry. And on that 1 week, I would come back with around $10,000, and it was party time. It was an indisposable income virtually. I would just go and I'd hire penthouses. I'd buy whatever amounts of ice, whatever amounts of alcohol. It was just. That's when I really went out of control.
Yeah. And I hear a lot of that. We've done some work up in the mines, up in central Queensland, and we're looking forward to working in other mine areas. If you're from the mining sector, we really want to get in there, because there's a lot of that going on, because there is that disposable income. And you know what, Cody, people dealing it know that. They know that, and they know where to tackle. And like you said, you were offered it once, twice, 3 times, and they don't. Like I said earlier on, they don't. It doesn't stop coming in front of our youth. It will continue to come in front of our youth. They will continue to get tempted with it, and they really need to see it and for what it is, so they have got something to arm themselves with. They've got visuals that they can go, nah, I don't want that. I don't want to look like that, and tell the others, this is what's going to happen, and we give them information to share. But it is, because it's everywhere. And it's a matter of time when your loved one or your child's going to go down that path. Specifically youth, because they want to fit in. They don't know who they are yet. They're experimenting with stuff, and they're forming, I don't like this, I do like that. And so they tend to be veered and swayed a lot more than adults as such. So our heart is to protect them. So you started then, went out of control because you had the money, and
and I think also, like you said, especially in West Oz, in the mines, it was almost a joke. What are you doing on your break? Oh, the glass barbecue. That's what they all call it, the glass barbecue. It's a cool name for it. It's mind blowing now that I think about it, how many people used in the mine, and I think it was because you have 1 week off and you can get it out of your system and quick before they drug test you, sort of thing. And I think that was a big appeal to a lot of people. But yeah, that's definitely, with the disposable income, I had broken up with my girlfriend. Things would just went out of control. The following year, it was 2014, the mine company I was working for, we all got made redundant, and we were told 3 months' time we would be back on site, another mining company would come over and take over. And within that 3 months, I had quite a lot of money at this stage still saved up, even though I had been blown a lot. I had close to 50 grand in my bank. We end up getting a payout as well from the government because they folded 10 grand. And again, it just went out of control. I did a trip to Bali. I used every day in Bali. On the way back, I messaged a friend. I jumped off the plane. I had a mate meet me in Perth. I picked up an 8-ball in Perth, and I was snorting lines of ice in the Qantas Business Lounge.
Wow. There's no fear. Ice totally hijacks the frontal lobe of your brain, and you don't realize the dangers that you're in sometimes, and what you do. I mean, you know, I had ice in my sock on a plane, like, you know, that's insane.
Yeah.
Like, there's dogs, like, you know,
That's right.
and it's some of the crazy things, but that's just, doing that is just not the biggest thing, you know. You end up in some really horrific spaces, and really areas that you can end up dead, you know, and that is the danger out there. You don't realise that you're in that space. Sometimes too late, sometimes just too late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess you start going, like, everything starts to become, you're in your own little world.
Yeah.
Everything around you is almost non-existent. It's you, the drug, and who's giving you the drug, or that's all you care about.
Yeah.
Like, and it just took me like that, and I started getting involved with all sorts of groups.
Yeah.
Which didn't end up well, which ended up in a home invasion.
Wow.
I had 3 guns pointed at my head. I was bashed with a baseball bat. I had my house destroyed. And I was told to come up with 10 grand. Otherwise they were coming back. They left a tarp with a petrol can and a box and said, that's where you'll be if we don't have our money.
What did you do?
From there, my psychosis has really kicked in.
Explain a little bit of that, because not everybody understands. And you know, I know that studies show that you can actually go into psychosis the very first time you use ice, or it can come on at any time through the use or after the use. It can linger on for a lifetime. You know, it can come, you know, 2 years down the track, you still can have psychosis and episodes of psychosis. So some people don't come out of that psychosis and they end up in mental hospitals. So you just need to know that. Can you explain, like, what was going on for you at that time? Because paint that psychosis picture. So
psychosis, I wouldn't wish upon my worst enemy. The psychosis I was having, everyone, my mates, my family, I just felt was against me. The radio, the television, I just felt were talking about me constantly. I was forever on my roof. I was in my attic. I just thought there was people on my roof constantly. There was beams, there was lasers. I just thought people were constantly just after me. It's I wouldn't wish it upon anyone. It is a scary, lonely place.
Yeah. And it's like a prison. It's like an entrapment of a prison, because you can't go anywhere, and you're in fear all the time.
Yeah.
You know, it's a real horrible space.
Yeah. From there, I was lucky enough. I had a mate come up from Brisbane who didn't realise the extent of how far and deep I had gotten into this, and him and another mate virtually pulled me out of the house and said, you need to get out of here. And he took me down to his house. His girlfriend had gone to New Zealand for 6 weeks, and that was the break that first started me, even though I relapsed after that. But it was the break that I needed. It was
Take a breather. It's like you're drowning, and you can't see that you're drowning, but somebody like that comes and pulls you out for a minute. It's like, you know, you take this breath and go, you know, but you can easily go back down, because, you know, it takes 12 to 18 months for the frontal lobe of your brain to get this balance, the chemicals balanced correctly. That's how long it takes for the chemical to rebalance and things start working again in the frontal lobe of your brain on its own. Yeah. So up to that time, you're still, you know, in recovery. Up to that time, you're still not making wise and well calculated decisions in recovery. So having somebody like a buddy or a support person that can walk with you through the early stages of recovery, and I'm talking 12 to 18 months, is like a lifesaver. Yeah, it really is. It's like somebody's thrown out, you know, a life raft, and, you know, has that you can hang on to, because, you know, it's a horrific experience, early recovery and suicide visits quite often, and it's just, that's why we do what we do, Cody, with the buddy system, you know, because we understand what it's like, you know, to be trying to get out of that deep water where you are drowning and you can't do it on your own. So if I'm speaking to you and you're watching this video and you are in early recovery or contemplating recovery, we want to help you. Yeah, we've been there, we've walked through it, somebody's helped us, and we want to be there to walk with you and to be your brain while you can't think straight, and to show you what we did, you know, that helped us in the early stages of recovery and get through that time in our lives. Yeah. So give us a call if I'm talking to you, or you private message us. You can call us on 1-800-NO-TO-ICE, or private message us or send us an email. But we want to speak to you if that person is you. So Katie, what happened after that? So your friend came and pulled you out, put you in his house for some time, and then you relapsed.
I relapsed. I used even when I was there at his house. But at that time I also managed to convince my mum to take me back in, and I had convinced her that I wasn't using.
So your mum kicked you out of home?
Mum was always there. Mum was actually at the house. When Mum was paying my rent and got that. That's how bad it got. Yeah. My brother's in rehab at the moment, my older brother, and he's been in and out of rehab his whole life. And I still remember my mum saying to me, "I've lost one son to drugs. I'm not going to lose another." And if it wasn't for her, who knows where I'd be, to be honest. And Mum took me in. When I got to Mum's house, and I was 51 kilos. I had gone from 90 to 51 kilos within 8 months.
That's a lot, Cody. That's a lot of weight, man. What are you weighing now?
90.
90. You look amazing.
Yep.
You know, and 30 kilos.
Yep. Like that.
40. That's 40
kilos.
kilos. In 8 months, guys. You know that can turn into anorexia really quick, and your organs start to malfunction because your body starts to shut down. It gets into shock. Sometimes you can actually go the opposite direction and actually blow out like a balloon, because it sets your body out of control and your organs don't know what's going on, and so you can either lose a heap of weight like that, and you become very sick for a long time, or you put on all this weight. The poison that goes into your body is never good for your organs, let's put it that way. So your amazing mum just was there with you, and she was there through the raid.
Yep.
And you know, she was holding on to her baby for her life, because she had already felt like she lost one son to drugs. And oh my goodness, she must be so proud of you today. So proud of you today. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very.
It's definitely one of my biggest regrets. The stress I put on my family, my mother, my close friends. I can't do more than apologise. It's the hardest thing still today. I think about it. And some of the closest friendships I've ruined because of fucking ice.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for swearing, but that's how I feel about it. Mum took me in again, and I wasn't using for, it was around 2 months, and I relapsed. I stole $500 off Mum and went and got a bag of ice and relapsed from there. I managed to get myself a lot of money at one point, and from there I took myself over to Thailand, and I used every day in Thailand, every day. And the psychosis that I had over there were, I was on the verge, I was literally going to end my life in Thailand. And I got an email from a friend, and it stopped me. I knew exactly where I was going to do it. I found the spot and I was just going to jump. And he sent me an email just telling me how much people love me, how much of a good person you really are deep down. It was a massive email, and it was enough. It was enough to stop me.
Yeah.
And that was actually the last time I used ice.
Wow. Wow.
That psychosis just spun me out. It was scary. It was that point is when I stopped, and it's just over 4 years today.
That's amazing. Well done, well done. I'm so glad that you are here. I'm so glad, and I know that journey, because this is where ice takes you guys. It takes you to a place where you don't want to live anymore, because the life that you're living is hell. And that's the best way to explain it. And you don't know how to get out. It's like if you need ice, like you need air, and you don't know how to come out of that entrapment and the psychosis coupled up with all of that, the isolation that you put yourself in. Cody, I know that a lot of parents out there have family members that are entrapped in this place, and we call it Ice World. And I bet a lot of these families are going, what was in that letter that triggered you? Because, parents and families out there are saying, what can I do? What can I say? I've given the money, looked after them, I've paid their bills, I've gone to court with them, I've, even gone to visit them in jail. What is it? What was in the letter that triggered you at that point in time, Cody?
It was just the whole letter itself. He outlined me as a person and how he felt, how close he was to me, I guess, how much him and other people loved me. Your life's worth living.
Yeah. Amen. And this is what we say to families out there, with your loved one. If you put a mirror up to them, say, this is who you're being, this is not who you are. I know who you are, and I love who you are. We don't love what you're doing, you're destroying yourself, but we love you, and this is what we remember, and bring up all the good times and the things that you remember, the good things that you remember about the person, so that they can remember who they are, because we forget who you are in Ice World. You become somebody else. You become the drug. It takes over everything. You're married to the drug. It's your air. It's your everything. And it's no longer you on the outside. You can't see that happening with your own brain because your brain's hijacked. But you need people around you that love you enough to go, this is not who you are. I can see what you're doing and how you're destroying yourself, but this is who I miss. This is who I love, this person here, and I want that person back. And then offer them the option to step into detox and rehab, or to link up with us here, where we can help them step into recovery, hey? So that is huge, Cody, really, because that you just got to keep putting that out there to your loved one. It may not be the first time that you share from truth in love from your heart, but put a mirror up to them. I remember once I sat with a friend of mine in Melbourne, And he rang me up and said, we were friends since teenagers, and he said, I need help. He said, I heard what happened to you and I'm in the same place. And he was in Melbourne and I was here, and I had no idea this was going on. And he lost his family, his work, he lost all this weight, he was destroying his life. And it just so happened that I found a photo from when we were teenagers, and we were hugging, you know, we had a drink in our hand and we were really happy. And you know, he was getting married, he just got married I think, and you know, his life was ahead of him. He had started a business. It was really good times. And I found that photo and I took it down with me to Melbourne, you know, and I sat with him in a car for about 3 hours. And he said, you know, I don't know who I am anymore. I've been in prison, I've done this, I've done that. And really, you know, I didn't even know who was talking. And he said, I don't know who I am anymore. And I said, yeah, I know that. I've been there. I said, but I pulled out this photo and I said, this is who you are. I said, and this is what you're like inside, and this is who we love, and this is why you're needed, your kids, your family, your life is worth it, and you know, I can help you, step out. And that made the difference for him, and you know, today he's clean and he's got his life back on track, he's engaged, he's moved state, he's like doing great. But you know, truth in love, guys, truth in love. You got to keep putting it out there in front of them, showing them this is who I remember, and just keep remembering that. That's incredible. What a friend, what a friend to do that. And I'm so happy that you heard that, that you know, were clouded enough to hear that message.
And it was only by chance too, because in Thailand you don't have any credit, and I just decided, I found a Wi-Fi and here is an email, and it was an email that popped up just in time.
Wow, wow, that's incredible, my friend. You've got a comment here. Brent says, stay strong, your family love you, and you can reward them by staying strong and showing them that their faith in you was richly deserved. Christine says, you are incredibly strong.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, hey, that's amazing.
Yep.
So what happened when you made that decision that your life was worth living?
I took myself back to, obviously come back to Australia. I sold my car here in Queensland. I sold it the very next day I landed. And I took myself to Adelaide. I don't know why I chose Adelaide. I didn't know anyone in Adelaide.
Probably why you chose Adelaide.
It is,
not that we can't find you anywhere in Australia.
That's right. But it was enough, I guess, to seclude myself from. I didn't want to go back to the Sunshine Coast because I still felt I was so vulnerable. But when I got to Adelaide, old habits kicked in. Within a week of being in Adelaide, I was staying at hostels and I met someone that was selling weed, who was an English guy, and he was selling to all the backpackers. He was about to leave the country, so he introduced me to who was supplying him with the weed, which was an old fella, and I went and met him, and I took over his business for a couple of months, and
amazing how the opportunity presented itself to you when you make a decision that you're going to get out. You know, and this is what happens, guys. It is the enemy in disguise, and it will come out after you. And it does keep presenting itself and in your face, and hoping that you will just take the bait, because it's out to kill, steal, and destroy your life. And you stepped into that thinking, I'll get some money behind me again, and you start using.
I started smoking marijuana again.
Yeah.
I didn't use ice again.
Yeah.
And it was my income, I guess. I was selling weed. I was his driver. We would go and pick up buckets. I'm talking 20-litre buckets of marijuana, and he would offer me ice, and I always said no to him. He would offer me coke. I was doing cocaine drops for him. but I still didn't go back to
Yep.
using ice.
Okay, did you know, and I don't know whether that was the case there, but we've heard of several cases around different states in Australia where marijuana is being laced with ice in hope to get people using more often and addicted, highly addicted, and before long they transfer them from marijuana to ice, saying, oh, we haven't got any more of that, but it was laced with this, and this is the better stuff. And because you can't think for yourself anymore, ice has hijacked the frontal lobe of your brain where your logic, rational decisions take place. You just transfer over because you need something. You are already addicted to ice without even knowing it. So I'm telling you that so that you can be aware. We get kids go, oh, but it's just a bit of pot. Are you sure? Are you sure? Long-term use of pot in itself can give you schizophrenia, and it does, kill off brain cells, and so, long-term use of that. But, are you sure that that's not laced with something? And that's the thing that they're cutting ecstasy tablets with ice.
With ice.
All kinds of things are going on out there with ice, and we just want you to be aware of what you're going to put in your body, man, because some things you can't take back. You can't take back. So what happened after that? So you started selling again, and
it's quite funny. I decided, even though I was selling weed, there was some backpackers that I met, and they were going to the Melbourne show to do some work on the Melbourne show, and I just thought it'd be a cool thing to go and join them. So I went to Melbourne, and by the time I come back from Melbourne, the guy I was selling all the weed for, he didn't want anything to do with me now, because I'd gone for a couple of weeks.
Oh wow.
And he was like, well, where have you been? And I told him. He said, well, that's it. And that's when my money ran out. I ran out of money, and I ended up walking into it was an Anglican church called New Roads Program, and I just broke down. I just told them my story, and they said it was quite common for someone to come to another place and still follow that same habit of that drug trail.
You can't run from it.
No.
And you actually need to do the work to work through the addiction and the issues and everything that you've gone through. You actually need to work through it. You can't just park it on a shelf, run to another state and think that it's gone now. That's called, you're just abstaining from using. You haven't actually broken through the barrier of addiction. It's a matter of time before you relapse, or you get caught up in some other form of addiction. You actually need to do the work. There's no way around it. So if you think that you're going to just not use for now and you go move state and you'll be alright, you need to go and hook up with a drug and alcohol counsellor and do the work. You've got to do the work. Unless you work through it, you're going to visit those opportunities again, and eventually you're going to lapse. That's the truth. We help people, we put people on a tripod system of support. We call it like a community rehab, because a lot of times you can't get into rehab. So what do? So what we do is we place the people that we're helping, our buddies, that we're being buddies to, we give them a tripod system of support. Now the first one is us. We're a buddy to them. We walk with them, we text, we chat, we be their friend, we be their brain. No, mate, I wouldn't be doing that because of that. Because they can't see it for themselves right now, right? So we hook them up with a drug and alcohol counsellor. We have resources for that, so that they can regularly go and see somebody. They might have issues like homelessness, or they haven't got food, or stuff like, or they need to go to Centrelink and they can't think of where Centrelink is, or how, because at that time. So we help, connect them to the services, and we get them hooked up with a group therapy. Whether it's NA, AA, CMA, a church. It's a tripod system of support where they're loved unconditionally, and we bring them in here after they got clean time. They can become part of our family. We bring them in here and they can help working in AARC. They can help with marketing, internet, until they can get trained and they've got their clean time up to go, and they can help with barbecues or events. There's heaps of things that you can do in AARC. You can buddy somebody else. and help them create a pathway into recovery. And we connect them with the rehabs and the services. So it's so important, you know, to have that support through early recovery, because it's so easy to fall back into it and you can't run from it, and you do need to do the work, you know. So this program that we happen to walk into, what a coincidence, isn't it? Like, I don't believe in those.
I walked down a street, a side alley, and I spotted it one day, and then I would walk past it just about every day, and then one day I walked in.
Wow.
And just going back to when Mum first took me back in, the amount of rehabs I rang at that time, when I was really, I just couldn't get, there was 6 to 12 month waiting lists in rehabs right throughout Australia. Even when I went into the Anglican New Roads program, they had a waiting list, but they did promise me the next bed available. And they sent me to a detox. But the detox they sent me to, I went into the detox. They rejected me because it was my first time in rehab, and this was a detox for repeat rehab, I guess, repeat users. So that day I walked away from not being accepted into a detox was one of the worst days of my life, and I do remember thinking to myself, well, it's me now, you got to do this. From there, in the couple I was waiting for a bed. It had been about a month, and I had been sleeping in Adelaide Gardens. I had also been staying at a hostel there as well, when I had money, when you get your fortnightly pay from the government. You buy food, and then other nights that you didn't have any money for accommodation, I'd just stay in Adelaide Gardens, or it was, thanks to Adelaide Gardens, there's some nice beds.
Yeah. Girls is a little bit different. We can couch surf. We always get a bed offered to us, trust me. But you know, a lot of guys end up in the park, absolutely, and under bridges, and it's part of the parcel of Ice World. You know, this is what you're going to get. It's some of the consequences that come along with Ice World. You know? You're going to end up homeless. You're going to end up hungry. You're going to end up lost. In prison, in mental, psychosis, in mental breakdown, and to get that back takes years.
Yeah,
it really
definitely. From that stage, while I was waiting for the bed, I met a German guy, Max his name was, and he ended up coming out and telling me when he was at school, he was 16, he was addicted to ice.
Wow. In
Germany. And we become really good, close mates through that, and we ended up just... The day I actually got a call from the rehab was the day I left Adelaide with him, and we started going around Australia, and we would do odd jobs. We would do fruit picking jobs. We went out in Mildura. We went through central Australia up to Alice Springs. But I found it real therapeutical at the same time.
I'm smiling because God actually sent you a buddy. Yeah. And he got you, he walked with you and was able to, talk with you and get stuff that you were going through, out and give you his perspective of how he dealt with it, and that is incredible. Organically, I was also organically by God sent a buddy, and this is why we do what we do. It's why it's so important, to have that support and somebody that understands where you are and what you're going through. There's nothing like that.
That's right.
So he's travelling everywhere, and
and we just he understood it. Even I still remember there was one hostel we stayed at, and there was a German woman telling him not to. Why is he hanging out with me? Why? and going out with them, and he ended up telling her to piss off. And he told me, because they used to talk in German,
Yes.
and she used to talk about us in German. She didn't like me for some reason, but he would tell me what she was saying.
Yeah.
But it was a connection that you can't break if you've been down that sort of road. And yeah, we just did fruit picking jobs, and we travelled for about, it must have been close to 9 months.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's enough time for you to start to balance your own brain function.
Yeah.
How long have you been clean now?
Just over 4 years.
Woo! Well done, my friend. So proud of you.
Thank you.
And we are honoured to have you here as part of AAIC and the team here. You know, it is that difference that will make a difference out there, because you know where the other person is when they reach out for help, and you know what they're thinking, you know what they're going through, and it's almost like that's us, and we've got to, you know, want to help that person to step out of that space.
Yeah,
hey, so much. So I just feel really blessed that you're part of the family here and part of the team, and you are loved here. You know, and if you're hearing this for the first time, you might be that person in addiction and in entrapment. I just want you to hear this message, guys. There is hope. Yeah, there is hope. You can do this. You know how many people, every week we help people come out of that space, and you know, years later they come back to us and say, you know, I never thought I could do that. I never thought I could get clean. I relapsed so many times and I just didn't think I could do it. The difference is you got, you know, people walking with you as a family from a place of love, and we stick together, and we, you know, as long as you're prepared to do the work, we can't do it for you. You know, we can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. But if you're really ready, you know, we're here to help you. We're here to help you step into that space. So I think you're going to make an amazing buddy. You've only just joined us, and you fit in amazingly with the team, and I can't wait to do some training with you and have you hit our schools and our minds, and you know, maybe wherever God calls you to be. I'm really excited for what's ahead for you.
And I'm grateful to be here, and I just want to join this campaign, because it is the devil. There is nothing. We used to call the bag with the ram's head emblem. You know, it is the devil, and there's so much of it out there, and I'm hearing it's now half the price of what it used to be when I was using it, and that scares me. Yeah. That's like, wow.
That's available to our kids, you know.
It's scary, and I can walk out on the street and I can pick one, two, I can just see it everywhere, and it's getting worse and worse and worse by the day, I feel. And something needs to happen. Something we need to stop this, because it is poison. Yeah. And yeah, there is. It was cool for maybe the first couple. It felt like it was cool for the first month or so, but after that, it's horrible. It's you end up in hell, the pits. Yeah. You end up in the pits of hell. Yeah.
And that guys, everybody that's been down that path say that, and the long-term consequences, we haven't got time to go into that. We might bring you back for a second show, but I'd really love to hear like some of the the stuff that you had to repair later, because our time is up for this show. Yeah. But we will bring you back for a second show, because I know that you've got more to share. The long-term consequences that you have to wear for the rest of your life, you wish you could take away, you can't. So not even once is our message, guys. One final message to camera, down the barrel, to families and to maybe people that might be using. If you had one final thing that you had to say to them today.
To family members, don't ever give up. Yeah. Don't give up on your brother, your sister, whoever's using. Don't give up on them. And if you really want change, I guess if you're using and you want change, you can do it. You can get yourself out of the pits. The help is available. There are people out there that do want to help you, and people that love you, and
you're one of them.
I've found a few here.
And guys, join the army if you want to make a difference. Join the AARC army. You can sign a petition there that we have to government saying it's time Australia unites in this fight against ICE. Okay, if you hear about the walk against ICE, make a stand. Okay, this might not be you today, but it could be your child tomorrow, your niece, your brother, your uncle, or somebody that you really care about. So let's join the fight against ICE. Let's say no more. We don't want this in our streets. We don't want this in our community. We don't want this in our nation. And sign the petition to government that we have there, please, guys, and join us in the walk against ICE when we do have our event coming up. And every $10 that you donate towards AARC helps us educate another youth. So if this message has touched you, if you think that this is a worthy cause, look deep inside. We've got to keep doing what we're doing because real education from lived experience isn't out there. We've got to keep spreading this message. We've got to, provide buddies out there, and we still need to eat. So we need your help, Australia. Every $10 helps us educate one child. We are a charity. We're a DGR, non-for-profit charity. Everything goes back into the cause, and we've got volunteers across Australia. So it is a volunteer organisation. If you want to help, you can help either by volunteering, joining the army, signing the petition, donating your services, like the other guys that I mentioned, Mercer and Cooper and Gardner Cars. You might have a business that you want to help. Please connect with us. Can I teach you not even once? What do you call it? Is it a symbol or a slogan or a, I don't know what you call it. If you got any ideas out there, and not even once message goes like this. Not even once. Guys, not even once. Thanks for joining us tonight. Cody, thank you so much for joining us tonight and sharing your heart.
Thank you.
Love ya.
Thank
So
you.
glad to have you part of the team. Take care, guys. Stay safe and stay clean. Woo!
Thank
Good
you.
night. Well done.